This show is brought to you by Turn 8. Turn 8 is a venture fund comprised of a growth accelerator program, complemented by a follow-on investment fund. Turn 8 vision is to build the foundations for young, dynamic, and high-growth ecosystem that would enable tech startups to thrive. Turn 8 is based in Dubai but accepts startups from all over the world. Turn 8 Fund is focused on capturing early entrepreneurial talent as young CEOs build businesses in regional growth markets and prepare them for international scalability. The fund seeks B2B and B2C startups with aspirations to become market leaders in a variety of markets. Turn 8 focus areas are 3D printing, renewable energy, Internet of Things, robotics, nanotechnology, storage solutions, transport tech, big data analytics. If you have an idea that you want to share with the world and you seek investment and mentorship to scale your idea efficiently, visit turn8.co to apply online now. Hi everyone, this is Ahmed and welcome to Be Efficient TV. The mission of this web TV show is to boost the efficiency of your business and life with tips and tricks from leading experts. And today I have with me Ahmed and Salah Hidiq. They are the co-founders of HeyDoc. Welcome to the show, Ahmed and Salah.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Actually, it's the first time I ever interview two people at the same time, like in one screen. So it's a first. So,
That's awesome.
What's your backgrounds? Are you doctors or what's your background?
Almost four years ago, Salah and I, we launched a digital marketing agency where we did design, development, online marketing across the board. And we worked with different industries. And one of the industries that we had a focus on was healthcare. So we ended up talking and meeting and working with a lot of doctors, clinics, hospitals, and we sort of learned the profession. We started working more in health tech, and we spent quite a few years doing quite a lot of work there.
All right, and then why you decided to find, like, did you quit the web development agency and you started focusing only on HeyDoc, or are you still doing that?
No, we're still doing it, but our focus obviously has shifted more towards HeyDoc. The agency has become a little bit more mature, and it's operational by itself with the team, and we're focusing all of our efforts on HeyDoc. The way it came out is all of these doctors, we used to help them to get more patients on board and help them sort of fix their communication with their patients. So we started to realize that people were sending them WhatsApps and emails and text messages, emails with pictures of rashes and pimples, WhatsApps with videos of their kid with the fever. And all of these kind of ad hoc communication was happening between them and their patients. And we realized, okay, there's a gap here. This kind of method is not secure, it's not private. The data is sort of scattered all over the place, and the doctors wanted to streamline it. They wanted to use one platform to communicate with them all, have history of data, and to be able to have it in a secure manner and monetize it. So we started talking to them again, and we're like, okay, guys, we're thinking of, fixing or trying to come up with a solution for this gap and for this challenge that you're facing, and we're thinking of coming up with a platform. And most of them were really excited and wanted to jump on board because they spend a lot of time. Some cases where we used to hear a lot of funny cases. Some would get 15 to 20 messages in the evening, as late as 1 a.m. Sometimes people would communicate with them as if something is extremely urgent, and then like they'd get out of bed, call them, and realize it's really something that's not urgent, that could have waited.
Trivial,
that could have waited till the morning, or for them to come in. So we sort of realized that this kind of platform would solve these problems, especially when it comes to non-urgent cases. So if you have something that's not urgent enough for you to go to the doctor, you've been procrastinating and you have a little rash, you've had a little headache, and you're not sure what it is, but it's not really worth taking time off, getting stuck in traffic, sitting for a few hours in the hospital until you see the doctor. You sit for a few minutes, and then they're like, you know what, go home and sleep. You'll be fine. So these kind of non-urgent cases, which all of us have, I'm sure each and every person has 2 to 3 sort of medical, let's say, non-urgent cases that they've sort of ignored just because it's not worth going to the hospital for. So we're tackling that kind of if you want, aspect of things, where non-urgent cases, streamlined communications, private, secure, connecting doctors anywhere in the world with patients anywhere in the world.
So how it works? How the HeyDoc works?
Sorry?
How it works? How the app works?
Oh, right. So basically, the patient would simply install the app. Let's say they have a rash, again, on their skin. They go in, search for a dermatologist. They check out their profile, where they studied, their certifications, where they work, etc. And then they can initiate an advisory request. They put in the question, you know, I have a rash on my hand. I'm not sure what the issue is. Can you help? You make a payment and you send the advisory. Once the doctor accepts, they start chatting, and it works sort of exactly like your WhatsApp of our world. You can send messages, you can send images, you can send voice notes, video notes, and it's open for a set period of time that allows them to communicate with the doctor and get medical advice.
How, like, they can ask initially some chat with the doctors, or they have to pay first and then talk to the doctor?
They basically pay first and they send the request. The money is not deducted until the doctor accepts the advisory. So if you say, you know, I have my kid has a fever and I need some help, the doctor can say, well, I'm not a pediatrician. It's better you speak to a pediatrician. I'm actually a dermatologist, for example. So this is the kind of, and the doctor, when they accept, then the money sort of goes through.
How much is the money? How much is the fee?
It's on average $40.
Okay.
And the doctor also, if while chatting with the patient, they realize, actually this is a case I can't really help with, they can refund the money and cancel the advisory at any point in time. So we leave that sort of option open.
Sorry to cut you off.
For the doctor.
How long is how the advisory work? Like, is it a certain number of messages or certain amount of time?
It's open for a set amount of time. The chat is open for approximately 24 hours to give them enough time to sort of go back and forth and have a chat and answer all the questions related to that specific case that they're talking to the doctor about. But from our initial sort of experience, most chats ended within 15 to 20 minutes of them starting to talk to each other.
Communicate, yeah.
And in case, let's say, the doctor accepted the request, the customer got charged, and then the doctor, let's say, replied only once within this 24 hours, the customer or the patient can ask for refund, and you will decide about that, or?
Yes, for sure.
Yes, of course. We have a refund policy, and we have sort of refund cases and scenarios. If fulfilled, obviously, yes.
Do you run it as a separate company, or like it's within your web development, like the team sits there, or like you are the only two guys who code and do the customer service and other stuff?
No, it's a separate business entity by itself. The team is separate. We're a team of 6. So we've got Salah and I. We've got an advisor that joined us last December, who started as an angel investor and is our biggest investor. But his name is Ma'an al-Rayis. But we sort of hit it off. He fell in love with the platform and with the potential and wanted to be more. So he joined us as an advisor, head of strategy, and a board member. We've also got 2 developers on board that take care of, you know, the platform,
building of the platform.
Yeah, and we've got 2 if you want, tech advisors, solution architects / digital marketing experts that are on board, also helping us with
HeyDoc.
with HeyDoc.
Salah also started with you, the web development company, or just focused on HeyDoc? Same.
No, both
Both of us.
Yeah. Salah is more the techie between us. I do more the business development side of things. We're also brothers, by the way. Yeah, we do everything together.
How often you conflict between each other?
All the time.
All the time.
Okay.
That's the beauty of it.
And before the web development, what was your background? Did you study? What did you study? What did you do before that?
So I graduated in 2004 from the American University of Beirut. I studied computer science. My first, if you want, 3-4 years were hardcore coding, tech development across different sort of disciplines and platforms and industries. And over the years, moved into more consulting roles, business development roles, across a wide range of partners, of tech partners and implementers and system integrators. Towards sort of the past 6 years, our focus had been more on the online marketing aspect and web mobile apps kind of services. We spent the last, so with the agency and the 2-3 years before that, all we did was create digital experiences across,
and Salah also, he studied the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah, Salah studied the same thing.
Is there something?
Sure.
Is there anything? Is there something that you don't do together?
We don't live in the same house.
Yeah, we don't live in the same house.
Okay.
We have different cars.
Okay.
My background, basically graduated also computer science from AUB in Lebanon, and worked as a web developer for 2 years or 3 years, and then started my own business back in 2002, offering basically infrastructure solutions, consulting, security services, all that stuff. And over the years, basically added additional services from development, and the team grew and all that. So we thought it was time that it was a good time for me and Ahmed to join forces and put together our experiences and penetrate the market even further and the region.
Which happened 4 years ago.
And now 4 years is HeyDoc? You started before 4 years?
No, 4 years is our agency. It's called WebMisk.
And
Web
HeyDoc?
miscellaneous.
And HeyDoc, it's been almost
A year now.
a year and a half.
Yeah, almost.
You raised capital through Turn 8?
Yes, we joined Turn 8's accelerator program in March, Feb 2016. It was round 6, and we raised our initial capital from there. We were still at the prototype stage, and then in October we launched our pilot. So between May and October, we had a ready sort of running platform that we were using to get doctors on board, to spread awareness and all of that. And we launched our pilot in October. In December, Ma'an joined us and invested in the business, in the company. And
how much was
March,
the initial round and then the second round that you raised?
So we raised $35,000 from Turn 8, and Ma'an we raised $100,000 as an angel investment. And probably in a month's time, we're going to start raising our seed round, which will coincide with our relaunch. So between October and March of this year and October of last year, we launched our pilot, and then we sort of closed it down. We had overwhelming responses from people. We were getting up to 10 advisories per day. We got over 3,000 people on our platform. And we sort of learned a lot from our people, from our customers and the patients.
How much?
How
much you're left with now in terms of percentages after raising these 2 rounds?
Of equity, you mean?
As in money, you mean?
No, equity, like percentages, both of you.
So the angel investment from Ma'an is a convertible note. So we have yet to release any shares. It'll happen once we go and fundraise in our next round. Turn 8's equity share is 15%, and the rest is split between us.
Okay, between you 50-50? The balance?
Sorry, can you say that again?
You're splitting the balance between you 50-50, the brothers?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what's your plan now in the seed round?
We're raising $1.1 million, which would be used to invest in the growth of the platform, the growth of the team, achieving our revenue goals, achieving our sort of number of patients advisories next year. And we've spoken to a lot of investors, and sort of we told everyone, hold on. Hopefully in end of October, early November, we're going to start fundraising, which will coincide with our relaunch.
New platform.
At the beginning, why you decided to go with Turn 8? Why you didn't just like bootstrap it yourself from your other company?
We did actually bootstrap it from the start.
And we're still bootstrapping
and
it.
we're still bootstrapping.
The amount we raised really isn't is just to cover a lot of the expenses and the costs that we had, but we've been pouring in a lot of money ourselves. The reason we didn't bootstrap it at the beginning is we come from the service business. We know you set up a company by going out, sell, bring in a project, grow the team, build, and then go out and sell some more. The startup world was kind of, though being a startup ourselves, but we don't really, as a service business that's young and growing, we didn't fall really in the startup world per se. So we needed to learn, and we
thought that was the best approach, basically, to learn from all that.
Yeah, and Turn 8 are one of the best, and we've learned a lot from them. They've helped connect us to a lot of really cool people, and from our research, we realized, okay, these guys are great, so let's get in touch. And it was really funny because when we sent over our pitch deck, their sort of admissions had closed. So we sent it on a Thursday, and they got in touch with us on a Sunday morning. They're like, "Can you come in tomorrow?" Went in on Monday, met the team, told them what we're working on. They sort of fell in love, I guess, with what we're in love with. And by Thursday, we had everything signed, and the week after, we started in the accelerator program.
Yeah.
So it happened really quickly.
After the program, let's say, how long is the program? And after the program, what did you do? Or like usually what happens in Turn 8 after the program? Like you go to a separate office, or you continue with the crib? We'll talk about the crib as well. Okay.
Okay. After the program was around 3 months, and after you're done, obviously the crib is open. Until now, it's open for us. They start. If you want, it's like a university degree in 3 months. They start connecting you to people. They start supporting you with ideas. They follow up on your progress, introduce you to investors, potential partners. Think whenever they meet up with someone that they think could add value to you, they sort of connect you to them. So that's what basically happens afterwards, which is extremely important.
To explain to the audience that the crib is a different incubator place or co-working space for companies to have desks there, and so you've been, now you're based in the crib as HeyDoc.
We're technically no. We don't go there as much. We spend a lot of time outside with clients
on the road.
So we usually head to the crib when we have meetings, when we need to meet Turn 8, and especially because here it's just Salah and I, so we really don't need an office most of the times because we're mostly together, jumping from one meeting to another. And all we need is our laptops. But once we're planning on growing the team soon, and once that happens, definitely we would need some space, and the crib would be our home.
So the 6 people that you have, they are outsourced? Wirelessly they work?
they don't work. They're not based out of the UAE. So Man is here, obviously, but the rest of the team is based out of Lebanon and India.
All right. I want to ask you about how much is the doctors make as percentage from the platform? So let's say the fee is $40, you said, per consultation. How much your percentage? Is it like you take a transaction, percentage of the transaction, or how it works? How you monetize?
Right now, we split it.
They have a fair split. Let's say we prefer not to mention it, but they have a very fair split, and we take a percentage out of the whole payment.
Yeah.
So you agree per doctor for the percentage from the beginning, or it's fixed?
No. It's fixed.
So why you don't share it publicly? Like when a doctor go to your platform and want to subscribe, they don't read that.
At this point, I don't think it's mentioned on our website, but we usually tell them once we start talking, once we start sort of communicating. One of the reasons is we mention it sometimes, but one of the reasons why we don't like to mention it is this is not the driving factor for us. We don't want this to be the driving factor for the doctor. And trust me, it's a very good percentage. We prefer to open doors, start the conversation, and the doctors that we want on board, we want people that are in love with the platform.
But you feel if you put it publicly, it's gonna shut them down. You like to start the conversation, then convert or convince the doctors to sign up to your platform, or?
We never really try to convince them, because if they're not convinced from the start, they won't deliver a good service through the platform. So if you're speaking to someone who's not very excited, it wouldn't be a very good service. So we want people that are excited.
But you don't think of your platform as an online platform, and you have to market for it. Let's say even to subscribe more doctors online. That the whole experience has to be online to convert doctors to encourage them to subscribe, or your plan is just to go pitch door to door and add new doctors.
Of course, but there's a vetting process that happens for every doctor that comes on board. So obviously we will not accept any doctor or approve any doctor that comes on the platform. There's a certain process that we go in and we check their profile, we check who they are, and make sure that they are people that we would like to, that would like to have on our platform. Very simply is we need very good, highly qualified doctors that are excited to sort of service the patients through telemedicine, and that are of a certain standard. So that is a whole vetting process that at this point is still manual. Eventually it'll be automated in a certain way, but there will always be a certain level of manual work to vet these doctors.
Yeah.
So now you go door to door and try to sell the service and convince the doctor to subscribe.
Again, we don't sell it to the doctors
and convince them.
Yeah, we don't want them to be. We don't want to convince them to come on the platform. We want them to come. Or
let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Like you go to a doctor clinic and you say, "We are HeyDoc." You are selling. This is HeyDoc, and you explain the app or this platform to the doctor, and then they will show interest or not to subscribe. That's selling.
You don't push them. So
you don't push them, but that's selling. Or marketing, whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yes, but we don't, try to convince the doctor. We tell them we have a telemedicine platform. You can speak to patients all over the world, and this is how it works. Are you interested? No, thank you very much. Yes, tell me more. We start sort of...
Because the moment we kind of try and convince the doctor to be on board, that might cause problems later on, which if he's not excited enough to actually deal with patients and respond to them in a timely manner, that's going to cause the problems later on where patients won't be satisfied and all that stuff.
Do you have a specific demographics, like you feel more young doctors subscribe more because of the technology, or?
That's one aspect.
Yeah, so
that's one aspect.
The kind of doctors that usually like to join the platform are it wouldn't be just people that aren't busy. There's a lot of doctors that are really busy, but are tech savvy and love to be on technology and love to be on the latest things. So that's one sort of segment. Young doctors that are trying to get more exposure, experience, and create a name for themselves. That would be another sort of profile.
How about the demographics from the patient side?
It's global.
Yeah, so we're usually the people that from our pilot that were using the platform were from millennials and sort of Gen X up to 40s, late 40s, people that are tech savvy, that understand how technology works. The specialties that we had that were used the most, if you want, that doctors were most busy were pediatrics. So it was mostly like mothers that are freaking out about their kids, and they wanted to know if it's serious enough for them to go to the hospital or if it's okay. It's psychology. We were really surprised to see a lot of people speak to therapists through the platform, dietitians, and of course GPs, so people with general inquiries, and dermatologists. But we thought dermatology would be sort of the number one from our pilot. It was in the top three, but wasn't number one. When we launched, we had a focus that we were going to focus on the UAE, but our first advisor came from Chicago. Second one came from Austria. Third from Nigeria. Fourth from Dubai. And then after that, we started getting people from all over the world, from Canada, US to Malaysia and Australia. We even had a doctor come on board
from Japan.
From Japan, get in touch with us. And a lot of these people just found us online and they tried the platform. And
how about the patients? Also global, or you have certain?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Chicago, Nigeria, Austria. These are all patients that came on board. So these are all people that found our app and decided to try it out.
But you said, how do you market for the app? You do online. I mean, you do Facebook ads, Google AdWords, and because you said you try manually sometimes, most of the times, to subscribe, let's say, the doctors. So how you market for the patients and doctors online?
The patients, obviously, we focus on online marketing. We did a lot of Facebook campaigns, Google campaigns. We had a lot of PR sort of coverage over the past year, which also helped us a lot. And this is what we're going to continue doing. We're speaking at a lot of events and roadshows. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Casablanca at Zenith Talks. Sometime before that, we were in Turkey. We've been to quite a few places and talking about the platform. Which also helps a lot in the publicity. And we're going to continue doing that, or we're going to re-kick it off once we launch our final sort of live product next month. And see how it goes.
How many customers or doctors you have now, if you can answer this question?
No, of course, yeah. At the pilot stage, we had between 16 to 20. And in the live
customers or doctors?
Doctors.
Okay.
When we go live, we're looking at having around 40 to 50. The way we look at it is we want to keep a balance between number of users and number of doctors. So you need around 10 doctors for every 1,000 users. So when we relaunch and as we grow, we need to sort of grow our doctor network, and we need to have not just one or two, maybe 3 doctors under each specialty, with different backgrounds, to provide people with options on with who they can talk to.
The proportion at the beginning is very sensitive, but once the platform grows, then it becomes, as Ahmed said, we're going to have more than probably 3, 4, even 5 doctors per specialty that would cater to the patients.
Did you think of involving insurance in a certain way with the app, or?
For sure. Yeah, initially because initially our model was local, and it was more of medical advisory, we wanted to talk to insurance companies, and we initiated a lot of talks, and there was quite a lot of interest, so that we can have these advisories covered by a person's premium. But as we progressed and we realized we're more of a global platform, you don't care about talking to a doctor in your same city. You just want to get medical advice. Instead of going on Google, you want to speak to a trustworthy source or advisor. That stopped being of any relevance because people, if you're going to speak to a doctor in the US, your insurance will never cover it.
How about international insurance? Why don't you focus on them?
Still, because the way the insurance, we're still talking to them and seeing how we can, because the whole model isn't built to support the concept of you in one country and the doctor in another country. You have to be in the same country for the insurance to cover it. So until the sort of, and we're in talks with insurance companies to see, because they want to revamp sort of their system to go with the trends.
Yeah.
So once that happens, we will be definitely on board. But until then, we're not looking at doing it.
Add to that, two of the specialties that have been kicking off and doing well, they're already out of insurance, such as dietitians, psychologists, and so on. So they're already out of insurance.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of it in a way that maybe you can make a deal with one of the insurance companies to be, the subscription to that insurance will be through your service. So the patient can subscribe through your service into a certain insurance that will cover him up for a year, let's say, of consultation on your service.
Yes, this is one of the things that we had initial chats about. Because, okay, so what we're trying to do is people are translating what's happening in the current world into the digital world. So, for example, if I go to a doctor and sit with them and have a 10-15 minute consultation, they're translating it to the digital world where you go online through the app, book 15 minutes, and then have have a video call through the app with the doctor. What we're trying to say is you don't need to do that. You can do other models that work even better. So hence what we're doing about chat. So the same thing with insurance. The current model is you buy an insurance premium and then that gives you telemedicine. But that won't work within our model. But what you mentioned is one of the ideas that we were talking about. Okay, so how about we create a new insurance premium that's just for telemedicine through our platform or through any other platform. But we're the only ones that are doing it within this model. Every other player have very different models, and they're more focused on B2B. So even the insurance, if I go and tell them I want to create this for the consumer, their model is to go and sell to businesses. So they try to find big businesses so that they can sell their insurance premiums to the hundreds or thousands of employees that they have. If I say let's do it on a B2C model, they don't know how to cost it. They don't know how to price it and work it out. And other telemedicine players are doing it on a B2B sort of aspect, where a company, if I am part with Insurance X, I get to speak to this insurance's doctors through my platform.
I saw on your site that you tackle or target some corporations, or your focus is only B2C now? Our
focus is B2C now. Initially, we also started talking to a lot of corporates for just simply to spread the word within their organization about HeyDoc and tell people, you can use HeyDoc, and if you work with Turn 8, you get a 10% discount on HeyDoc. So these are the kind of partnerships that we're doing. And we have a few set up in place, and once we go live, we're going to have more of that. It helps us get to the people, but in the end, our goal is this B2C. Even if it's B2B2C, our goal is the consumer.
Any competitions globally? Globally, I'm sure, but tell us more about it, and locally, if any.
Yeah, it's an open space. So locally, or let's start internationally, some of the biggest players are in the US, with people like Doctor On Demand, ZocDoc, TeleDoc, HealthTap, Akira in Canada, Babylon Health in the UK, etc., etc. But these guys all have very different models because it depends on the country and how the healthcare system works. The challenges are different. So in the US, for example, it's sort of like here. You have to buy insurance to get healthcare, or else you have to pay for it. While in places like Canada and the UK and Europe, healthcare is free, provided by the government. So the challenge there is, instead of waiting 3 weeks to go see a doctor, because all doctors are extremely fully booked, you can use the app and make a small payment and get sort of medical advice.
Out of convenience,
Yeah. While in the US, it's people are paying already insurance to get access to a doctor. It's convenience, as in if you have you can have it covered by the insurance provider, or some players like I think Doctor on Demand, they're saying don't get full insurance, get basic insurance, and then sign up with us and use our platform for everything else when it comes to non-urgent cases, and when you need to speak to a doctor. So they all have very different models. While locally,
Go ahead.
locally there's Al-Tibbi, there's a few other, there's what's it called, Etob in Lebanon, there's I heard of a platform in Saudi Arabia,
Alim Health.
Alim Health, but they all have very also different models. So for example, Alim Health is sort of from what we understand is it's telemedicine on a hospital perspective, connecting developing countries with a developed country, with a hospital in a developed country, such as Germany or in the US, I believe. Al-Tibbi has a model. They initially started as like an online forum with thousands of doctors, where you can get sort of info online. And I believe now it's a callback system. So you say, I need to speak to a doctor, I have a case. Within 30 seconds or a minute, someone would call you back on the phone.
But there is no service exactly like your service globally with a certain fee. Your model is unique.
Sorry?
Your model is completely unique.
Yeah, it's unique and locally. We don't have a callback system. We don't do video voice calls. We do chat-based communication.
With a doctor you select and you want to speak
with. You choose your doctor. It's not a random doctor that's available now. You pick your doctor. You go in and then you chat with the doctor. From our pilot, we realized, because we were planning on launching video calls and voice calls through the app to a doctor if at a certain fee. But our patients don't want to do that. Even now, people prefer to chat on WhatsApp and share information than actually calling the person.
Even voice messages you don't allow?
Yes. We have voice messages and video messages. So you can set a video note, a voice note, but
not live,
and text, but not a call. And we realized that's what people prefer, and that's kind of the communication they prefer to have.
People are kind of moving away from the real-time chat and real-time call, face-to-face or voice call. They just prefer sending a message and getting a response and so on. So it's human nature and how people are changing.
Yeah, which is what we call asynchronous kind of communications.
Yeah.
And it's purely, we're talking about non-urgent cases. Obviously, if there's something urgent, you need to go to the hospital or you need to speak to the doctor now. But that's not what we're doing right now at the minute. But even though we're working on partnering up with a few, there's also mobile doctors. Mobile doctors, for example, they have their own center of doctors. So they've hired their own doctors. And they have a call center where people can call in and speak to the doctor or sort of communicate, I think, through an app. They have a call with them or something like that. So we're looking at partnering with different telemedicine providers or clinics and hospitals who have a 24-hour sort of
availability.
Doctors available, like 800 Doctor, for example, or 800 Aster, and these guys.
Do you
urgent section? If you need to speak to a doctor now, you can access them.
Do you allow the doctor, let's say, to send the patient into their clinics if they are local in the same country with the?
Yeah.
Why not? It's up to them.
Right. So if, let's say, the patient needs an operation or needs something urgent, the doctor will just advise him to go to the hospital, or if it's within the range of specialty of the doctor, then he will ask them to come to their clinic.
Correct.
Absolutely.
And it's out of our scope then. It's nothing to do with HeyDoc.
We're just a platform. We connect the doctors with the patients. What they say and what they do is really up to them. We just have certain laws, let's say, Like, for example, doctors are not allowed to prescribe medicine, and because it's not allowed, it's illegal in our region and in many countries in Europe. So they are not able to do that. Other than that, and they have sort of, let's call it a code of conduct, things that they can do, things they can't do. As long as they abide by them, they can do whatever they want.
So the main value is to go or not to go to the hospital?
I would say that's one of the most important things, yeah. Okay. That's one of the most important questions or answers that a patient would get.
You know, from all the hospitals we've spoken to, almost 78% of patients who go there don't really need to go there.
It's not that we've went to. That's an online. Yeah. It's a research that's done in developed countries.
Exactly.
78% of patients, of cases, are non-urgent cases, and the doctor says that they shouldn't really have come. It could have been solved by
but he can advise them, let's say, drink more water or do something like that, or do but he cannot ask them to take specific medicine.
If it's off the shelf, yes, of course, why not?
So if it's a medicine that's sold in the supermarkets, Panadol, or they can.
They provide a prescription document.
So any medicine that requires a prescription, they cannot prescribe. But everything off the shelf, they can of course tell them advise for them to buy it.
But legally, why? Because he's not seeing them physically.
Yes. So the doctor has to see the patient physically at least once before he or she can start prescribing medicine. So, for example, if it's a follow-up and the patient already knows the doctor and the doctor has a file for the patient, then yes, he can prescribe medicine. So one way could be like he can send it through courier or something like that.
Does that include the psychology, area?
In what sense?
Like
prescription?
Because
that's why we stick to psychology, because psychology is just psychological treatment. It doesn't include medicine. Psychiatrists are the doctors that prescribe medicine. So we stick to psychology and not psychiatry.
But psychiatrists also can, at the end of the day, even if he sees the patient, it's just a talk, right? So he cannot do it online by law to ask them to take a medicine. Yeah.
Yes, but they can't prescribe medicine. That's it. So psychiatrists, psychologists, they both would do the same thing. It's just that they can't prescribe medicine.
You are fully focused on doctors, or also, let's say, sometimes some mental mindset coaches, or you just focused on doctors?
No, we actually are thinking about it, and we have let's call it a life coach that that might join the platform to advise people. We have a diabetes specialist that might join the platform in our next launch. Sports doctor and physiotherapist. So I'll give you one example. I have a broken finger.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about it, actually. Did you use your app to
No, absolutely not. I went directly to the hospital. A year ago, I play football and I'm a goalkeeper. So I made this fantastic save, but someone stood while running, while trying to kick the ball, ended up kicking and stepping on my hand. So I broke 2 fingers and destroyed my middle finger. So I had 7 screws and a plate in there for almost a year, and did over 40 physio sessions. And last week I did another surgery to remove them all. And I know all of the sessions, but all I want is to speak to a physiotherapist to every now and then follow up with them. So I go see the physiotherapist now, but I have to see them 2-3 times a week. All I need to do is see them once every 2 weeks, and the rest I can do at home, and I can get advice, and I can send them videos of my finger and stuff like that. So this is the kind of thing that would work in a case like mine, and there's many cases like that. Before that, I've done a few other sort of injuries, and I used to go to the physiotherapist. He'd give me the exercises, and I just go back home and do them. So that's, again, me personally, but I know a lot of friends that have similar cases.
On the other hand, last year I had some pain in my waist, and it lasted like 2 days, and the pain became stronger and stronger, and I was very hesitant to go to a hospital. One, I didn't want to waste my time. I thought I'd sleep it out. I thought maybe it could be kidney stones. I drank additional water and so on. Then I used the app. I spoke to a doctor, and over the chat, he told me some moves to do and some places to basically self-diagnose. And he told me, okay, it seems you have your pancreas is the problem.
Appendix.
Appendix. Sorry, appendix problem. So you should actually go to a hospital now. Exactly. So I went there, and it was true. And I had the operation same day in the afternoon done.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was quite serious.
What's the feedback of doctors and patients now? What other services they would like to add in your app?
Doctors really enjoyed using it because it was very simple for them and it was very easy. Patients too. What patients wanted was the whole sort of enhancing the communication, being able to access records. So history of all their chats with all the different doctors.
Yeah.
They can access them and sort of see all the different recommendations, medicine that they recommended they buy, or creams or whatever. So these were the main things, in addition to enhancing the overall communication. So, for example, one of the things that we're working on next is adding some sort of artificial intelligence to the diagnosis. So when you go in, and if you're not sure who you need to talk to, the platform would ask you a few questions and then recommend a doctor or a specialty.
Yeah.
And this is something that patients wanted because a lot of them don't know who they need to talk to. For them, all these names or all these specialties, for them, they don't mean anything. So this is one of the things that we're working on.
Sometimes they'd have a certain ailment, they search online, and it tells them they have a whole different case. They go to that specialty and they find a doctor, and it turns out it's a completely different case. So we're trying to tackle that and just make the selection process or finding the correct specialty easier.
Another thing is, which is part of our goal over the next few months, is integration with different wearable devices, home care devices, from a smart scale to your Fitbit to your sort of phone, and be able to track all this data and store it sort of within your profile. And we create what we're calling a holistic patient profile. So if you have all this information within the platform, when you're talking to a doctor and he's like, or she's like, how's your blood pressure the past week? You can instantly share it. Or you can give them access to your vital data, and the doctor can see sort of everything there
and diagnose
and help diagnose you better. It'll add also this kind of to this artificial intelligence. So if the platform notices certain changes in your vital data, it can recommend and say, we're noticing this kind of these issues or problems and fluctuations. How about you speak to a doctor that can help you with this?
Now, do you allow the customer to build a profile, like for their history, medical history, and these stuff?
At this stage, no, but this is what's going to happen in our next phases.
All right.
Another thing we're working on is virtual reality treatment, and this is something we're really excited about. So let's say you want to speak to your therapist. You just put on your headset, select some music, and transform yourself to a hammock in Honolulu, for example, and you start talking to your therapist.
In a soothing environment.
Yeah, and put yourself in a nice soothing environment. So these are the kind of things that we're playing with that we think. So our goal is communication. That's it. We need to enhance the communication and make it easier and faster for people to get right medical advice. And we're trying to find different ways to get that done in a very secure manner.
And private manner.
We have a guest actually jumped into my lap during the interview. Oh my God. All right.
What's his or her name?
Lucy.
Lucy. Up, Lucy.
I'm sorry. All right. So, when you're gonna do the next the next launch? You said, like in which month exactly?
It's going to be maybe beginning of November. So we're targeting that. We are at the testing phase now. So we're spending our days playing with the platform and making sure everything's working fine. And we have a few people that are on board, part of the testing group. And we're also talking to doctors to get them back on, and talking to new doctors to get them on board. We're hoping we'd be ready. We're going to do a little launch event here in Dubai, and we're going to sort of go out all over the place.
How the doctors can take leads? Like they can collect emails from the people who chat with them?
If they ask them while chatting, can you please give me your email or phone number? Why not? Again.
Yeah. So it's not like in the profile or things. They just ask for it. What's the award that you won with your app?
A few awards, actually.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to win quite a few. Last year, we were chosen as Health App of the Year by Shortlist Dubai. We won X Innovation Award by Ministry of Finance. We were in Turkey in April and won the picture. We came in second place at the picture competition. We came second to someone that I think even us would have voted for him. He's a 17-year-old kid that's building a Turkish gaming tutorial and training platform. Extremely charming young man with amazing potential. He did a really great job. But obviously coming second was amazing too. We are going to Startup Istanbul next week. We were selected as part of,
There's MIT Innovate for Refugees.
We were top 10 in MIT's Innovate for Refugees, which is something I'll tell you about right now. We
were top 15 for competition in Korea.
But no, we've been selected as the most innovative digital solution by WSA.
World Summit.
World Startup Association? No.
World Summit.
World Summit.
Now the service is available only as an app. There is no desktop version. Okay.
Yeah.
How many customers you think you should have to be cash flow positive?
Well, our goal is by end of next year to have around 16 to 18,000 patients, active users on the platform, generating approximately 8 to 10,000 advisories. And we believe by end of 2019, we would become cash flow positive. We'll start seeing revenues from 2020 upwards. I think our initial projections are around $4 million of revenue in 2020.
To ask you some personal questions, what's your top 3 apps, both of you, that you use on your smartphone?
I use a lot of Google Assistant. I use an Android phone, but I wouldn't say it's an app. The apps that I use the most are Facebook, because I do a lot of reading. I use it for all of my reading. I need to get my phone to check. Google Maps. I can't live without Google Maps.
Google Maps is that. Another tech...
Our email app is probably
the mostly used app.
Yeah.
Tech news app, such as Engadget and a few others, TechCrunch and stuff. For reading and following up what's happening.
Football news.
That's for him.
For you, what? Geek news?
That's where the tech news comes in and what's happening around the world, basically.
What's the...
I use Audible a lot, so that's how I do my reading.
Audiobooks, yeah.
I listen to a lot of books through Audible. I'm almost getting through 1 or 2 books a month, which has been an amazing thing, because most people don't have time to read anymore, which is an absolute shame.
Listen, yeah.
So listening to it, I realized it's actually a beautiful replacement, and I've been going through so many books, especially that we drive a lot, spend a lot of time out when you're in the gym, etc. So
I do the same. What's the other things that you do that makes you more efficient in terms of habits?
I think reading these books has been reading a lot of books recently has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because we've been read a lot of really cool, great books that have helped us look at things in a certain way, or helped us form ideas. Like you'd think of something, but someone makes it scientific. There's a process behind how to do something, and you learn these things. we do a lot of work in the morning, a lot of planning in the evening, that helps us do our day. I have task lists and my notes that I can't live without, and we have little KPIs for us every week that we need to achieve. A lot of people, it's difficult for them when they're setting up a startup or launching a startup or on their own, is they find it hard to motivate themselves. And I think this is something that we both mastered quite well and has helped us in being a lot more efficient. If by the end of the day we feel like we haven't done much or we haven't achieved much, we feel like we lost a whole day. And we treat ourselves when we do, and we sort of force ourselves to do more to be able to cover for that.
Exactly. We brainstorm a lot together. We throw ideas back and forth. We see what we can adopt now, what we should leave in the drawer till we're ready, and so on.
I think one of the things that works a lot for us is jumping on board every time we think something is good and going out and talking to people about it. One of the things that we learned the most over the past several years is everything needs to be validated by customers. If someone thinks it's a great idea, boo-hoo, who cares? You know, and people need to think it's a great idea.
Doesn't mean it's going to succeed as well.
Yeah, so everything, we're always pitching ideas to everyone we know and trying to get responses. And then whenever we feel that something's good, we take it out and test it with them and see how it works. So we've applied that to HeyDoc, and we've applied that to our agency, and we've been applying it to sort of everything. And this is one of the key sort of drivers and habits that we do.
What's the most difficult stage that you felt have gone through your startup experience, and what do you advise other startups?
Well, every day is a difficult stage.
Yeah, every day is a struggle in a good way.
Yeah, so like even when you think things couldn't be worse, something will happen. My motto in life is nothing ever goes according to plan, so plan accordingly. And nothing will ever happen as the way you think about it. And you need to be able to be agile enough to adapt and keep moving. And you need to be able to do it really quickly, because if you don't and you get stuck with whatever's not working, you're gonna drown. So really that would be my most important piece of advice. And obviously it's the persistence and the perseverance and all of that stuff, but in the real world, obviously these matter a lot, but that's what we hear from you can get that advice from everyone, but from us, it's really change happens so much and so fast that it could drain you. And always find ways to stay afloat, and try to always think outside the box, and think like everything. Oh, okay. Another thing is always try to think differently than anyone. And whenever you're trying to do something, don't just 10x it. Also make sure that when you leave, everyone would be talking about you, or when they go home, they're going to be talking about you. So I think these are the things that will differentiate you. If we're talking at an event or we're speaking at a conference, the first thing I would think of is who's going to be there, and how can I make sure that I'm going to be better than everyone else, or not better, but at least leave an impact more than everyone, to make sure everyone remembers who we are when they go home. And we apply that concept to everything, and we tell people and startups to apply that concept to everything they do.
So if someone has an idea, wants to execute it and start taking action on implementing it as a startup, what are the top 3 steps that they should do? The first 3 steps.
First step is research, study your market, and make sure that there are people that actually want to buy your product or service. But most of the cases, that's not enough, because when you survey and talk to people, they can say yes, but when it comes to reality, they might not use it.
Yeah.
So this next step is to actually validate that idea by building some sort of prototype and going out and launching it, the most basic version of your concept, and seeing if people actually will use it. And if you're getting traction, that means you're on the right direction. Then listen to people, listen to what they say, listen to feedback, and grow it. If people aren't using it, pivot or drop.
You mentioned Audible. What's your top 3 books? Favorite top three.
One of the books that I've really enjoyed, or a few books that I've enjoyed the past few months, was a book called Platform Revolution, because it hit a lot on the things that we've been going through, and it tackled a lot of the ideas that we've been struggling with and trying to figure out how to work. So it really felt like they were talking to HeyDoc, and they weren't talking about anything else. Another book that I really enjoyed was called Business Adventures. It's from 1969. It's a very old book, but has classic tales and stories, business stories that are sort of timeless. From the invention of the supermarket to the Ford Edsel to the stock crashes of the 60s to all of these different things, different sort of real life experiences.
Yeah.
They are told in the form of a story, and it tells you why it failed or what happened and what you can learn from it. And it was 12 or 13 stories that are really amazing.
Another good one is The Tipping Point. That's another good book.
What's the one marketing strategy that helped your business the most?
We try our best to focus a lot on growth hacking and trying to find ways for people to find us and find out who we are and use the platform, and spending the least amount of money, basically, because advertisement obviously is great, but it's advertisement. It's when you want to reach people, you need them to look at it and say wow and want to jump on board and use it. So find methods that would get people to do that, be it amazing content or partnerships with big players, with stories, and giving people access to the platform to actually use it. So one of the things that we did was we gave people one free first advisory free, and people just used it. And it was great for us because we learned so much from people using it. For us, it's more important that people use the platform than making money at this stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is basically it.
Lots of pain while operating and starting and launching a startup. When you are depressed, how do you change your mood? What do you do?
Read. Yeah, go out.
Read and exercise.
Yeah, exercise, obviously. And football was one of my main sort of methods of relieving stress, but obviously I can't. So it's hitting the gym, exercise, and reading. Watching inspirational movies, watching documentaries, and reading. And especially when you're trying to get some inspiration, when you feel like everything's not working and it's just not happening. All you need is a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of motivation, if you want, that can push you back.
And a pinch of love.
Last question before I ask you how people can contact you. Top 3 people that you're inspired by or you consider them as mentors.
Wow.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. Well, one of the people that I actually really admire on a worldwide scale is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
But he's almost everyone else's mentor, really, and source of inspiration. But when you read the story behind sort of not just Tesla, but all of his businesses, it's really quite inspiring, and everything that they went through and the ups and downs, and how he's trying to he is one person that is really changing the world, and changing how we communicate, how we move, how we live. So he's someone that's really inspiring. And there's just so many people that we read about and videos that we watch that have amazing stories that I can't really mention top of my head. Another mentor and one of the most important role models in my life and our lives is our father.
Yeah.
He's just a book of wisdom and sayings, and he's been someone that helped us throughout everything. I remember one day he saw me like really depressed, and I was visiting Lebanon, and had no idea how things were going to get better, he printed out this piece of paper and came and gave it to me. And he's like, read it, and I hope you feel better. And it said, I don't remember it exactly, but it says that someone, failed in high school 3 times, then graduated, failed in university, then graduated, failed in work, was fired I don't know how many times, and in the end became the president of the United States. And it was about Abraham Lincoln. And then I went to him like, this is amazing. And I didn't know the story, his history and his story. And he's always found ways to sort of inspire us and help us out and come out of nowhere and sort of help us out.
Push us to be better.
Yeah.
Great. Last question, how people can contact you and find you?
By email or through the website, so they can get in touch at hello@heydoc.net. Drop us an email. We're extremely fast in communications and quick to respond. We're looking for amazing startups that we can collaborate with. We're looking at amazing partners that we can work with, and anyone that can help give us any kind of advice and help us out. And obviously, anyone that needs any kind of advice, we're more than happy to help. So we've, And I wanted to add one more thing, if we have a little bit of time. We've been working on an initiative recently, codenamed Salah, which is based on the concept of what we call the democratization of healthcare. So basically, people that can afford to pay for telemedicine or for health will, but those who can't won't have to. So our goal is to connect people in developing countries, rural areas, refugee camps, with highly qualified doctors and hospitals all over the world to get free medical advice. And this is something that we've been working on, and we've spoke about in different places. Lastly, the Zenith sort of talk in Casablanca a couple of weeks ago. So that's something that we...
So you're going to do it a different initiative, or you link it with your app, or how you do that?
It's going to be a different initiative, but it's based on the same platform. So once the technology is done and launched, we're going to replicate this platform, work with NGOs, foundations, and large corporates that have certain CSR initiatives and budgets to access these people and launch it on the ground there. And this is something that's been sort of very dear for us, and we've been thinking about since the start.
Thank you so much, Ahmed and Salah, for your insights and this detailed information. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have an awesome day.
Pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Be efficient and stay efficient, and see you soon with another leading expert.